welcome to DC. You know we're down at the USA Cup. You're taking it slightly, I'm taking it slightly. Now how you throw apple, you won't be right back. Well, we gon' be right here, we gon' be right here. We ain't going nowhere. Welcome to DC.
Hey, this is Hog Farmer Keith of the Hog Farmers Charitable Foundation. And before you listen to Owning the Huddle podcast presented by Red Zone in the Lab, the Hog Farmers Charitable Foundation has put together an awesome program where you can help make a difference in helping us raise money to assist families who are faced with the everyday stresses it takes for their child to battle cancer. How do you do this? Well, we challenge you to become a 2023 Hog Farmer Ambassador. You can check out this information on our website at hogfarmerscharity.org, or you can learn more by heading to our Facebook and or Twitter feeds. The way that you do this is you click the ambassador link, you start your campaign, you set a goal, you reach your audience, and you help raise $250 or more. So who's with us on helping put a smile on the family's face while they go through these tough times?
Welcome back to Owning the Huddle podcast. I am Bruce. We got Breeze, DT, and CeeLo in the building. What's good, fellas?
Nothing, man. Chilling.
It's good, man. Off season.
What's good, DT? What Pop's at, man? Hey, listen, man, on today's episode, hopefully we have a guest. Hopefully Pops, man, he be giving us some content off the background. Hopefully he'll come on the screen today and talk a little bit of Commanders. We're going to talk about, is the team better after a couple weeks of free agency? We're going to get into joining the ranks. We're going to talk about, do the Commanders have a real quarterback competition? Is that even possible in today's NFL? We're going to go over a couple rookie quarterbacks that if the Commanders decide to draft, then would they bring in real competition, as Ron Rivera promised us, in a sense, so far during the offseason. That's Aiden OConnell from Purdue, Tanner McKee of Stanford, and Hinden Hooker of Tennessee. So we're going to be right back on the other side of this. We're going to get into it.
Welcome to Owning the Huddle podcast presented by Red Zone in the Lab, where we discuss all things Washington Commanders, from the executive and front offices, coaches, players, and fan experience. Join DT, Breeze, CeeLo, and Deuce as they break down the pre- and post games. Do it because you love it and not because it loves you. Hail Commanders!
Welcome back to OTA Podcast.
All right, fellas. So, is the team better? Has the team done enough to at least say that the roster is kind of improved? Is it better from what the season left off? Let's talk about it. Breeze, what say you? Is the team better? Is the team better?
Can I put a pin in that and circle back after the draft? I mean, linebacker wise, kind of washed. Everything as far as I'm concerned so far is really a wash. Maybe a slight upgrade on the offensive line. So I guess technically speaking, slight improvement. But as far as I'm concerned, everything right now is pretty much a wash from last season.
I'm kind of like Breeze. I really think in a way we're kind of the same in certain spots. I did see we did improve the offensive line by signing Nick Gates and Andrew Wiley.
Mm-hmm.
We also signed Cody Barton, who's basically, to me, he's basically Cole Holcomb. They both came out the same year in 2019, so you kind of don't miss nothing with that. So the linebackers are still kind of an issue. We were trying to get Anthony Walker over here, but that didn't work out. But the secondary, it's still the same. I just think we're still kind of like the same team a little bit, and I think we already know by now that Ron tries to invest this team more in the NFL draft, getting younger, talented guys on deals that can help out and contribute. Like the past couple of years, we've been having at least 20 players on this team under the age of like 25 contribute to the team and making plays, whether they're a starter, backup, or special teams. So I think once we see the NFL draft, see who we get in the selections from round 1 to 7, then we can come back and evaluate what this team is.
Yeah, like everyone said, so there's two parts, right? There's addition by subtraction. So the fact that we don't have Carson Wentz on this team anymore and Trey Turner, that's probably an improvement right there. No disrespect to them dudes, but it was bad. If you want to include coaching, obviously EB is a huge improvement. So I feel like his addition is a big deal if we want to talk about that piece of it. But roster wise, overall, yeah, probably about the same. Y'all talked a lot about the linebacker situation. The offensive line is tough, man. I'm not personally that impressed. It just depends on, Nick Gates' health and his continued, return to being a respectable center, if not guard. And then Wiley, he seems like he's getting a lot of accolades, had an excellent Super Bowl. But if you look at the numbers, he has some challenges in terms of pressures and in terms of pressure rate. So, but we also had challenges as well in that right tackle room. So hopefully it's an improvement. The signings so far, to me, what makes it a difficult question is because the signings aren't like obvious. We didn't go out and get like the top of anything. We kind of got guys that are, kind of middle tier guys in their respective positions. And so it's like, it's more like depth and it's more competition. So far, zero sum.
Yeah, man, that's how I feel. I don't think the team has got, we always say they're better, right? Like you were saying, subdition, subdition, right? Subtraction. And I think I cannot say that any one of those position groups have gotten better. I can't say any of them have gotten worse. I mean, even with Carson Wentz not being here. I mean, what's there? We don't have Carson Wentz or Taylor Heineke. Both of those guys played the majority of the games last year. I mean, we re-signed Deron Payne, but he's still there. So there's not much, right? There are some holes that they kind of fill with some pieces that they lost. They kind of, to me, it just seems like what they lost, they just brought right back in, right? There's no major upgrades in any of those additions. So
I will say, I want to change my answer. I don't know how it slipped my mind. The fact that Eric Bieniemy is here now over Scott Turner, I have to say that's an upgrade. There's no question to me that that's an upgrade. So in regards to the coaching aspect of it, the coaching aspect of it has definitely been upgraded to me. But yeah, roster wise, still I gotta wait and see.
Yeah.
Are we worried about this offensive line coach issue though? It's gone a couple weeks, and we about to hit the draft, and I don't know. I just feel like that's kind of a thing, or maybe not a big deal.
Go ahead, DC.
That was actually the question I was going to ask, CeeLo. Like, we haven't heard anything about. I think they're still trying to evaluate that spot. I mean, we do know Warden is on the roster. He's the guy that's been going through these all-star games after college football season and getting his reps and thing as being a leader of men going for a next opportunity. And then you also got Castillo, who was with the tight ends last year, but history from his past, he has always worked with an offensive line, especially during his time in Philadelphia with Andy Reid, and EB worked with Andy Reid. And I think also this deals with the offensive line as well. Like when we're talking about this off season, it's still question marks about the offensive line. I mean, you're looking at what's going to happen with Trace Roulier. I mean, we've been hearing some things lately that, okay, he's starting to look good and he's starting to look like he's going to come back for OTAs, but you still have that question about can he go through a whole season with that? And he's a key piece from the Jay Gruden era on that offensive line, the ability to get out in space, be the quarterback of the offensive line. And then you're also trying to see, okay, what you're going to do with Nick Gates, what you're going to do with Wiley, what you're going to do with the first round pick. I mean, we've been seeing like they've been interviewing like 300 offensive linemen, which is a good thing. But that also tells me that they're trying to see if they can grab a tackle of the future, and they might have to play around a little bit with offensive line. You still got Sadiq Charles, Chris Paul, Andrew Wiley played guard, Nick Gates played guard, and now you're talking about Sam Cosby, who we drafted second round to be a tackle. They're talking about him playing at guard. So it's going to be some questions about this offensive line. I think this offensive line, just like we talk about the defensive line, they've been the money makers, but this offensive line this year, they have to be the ones to step up, especially with a young quarterback back there.
Yeah, I always said, I guess last week, 2 weeks ago, that I felt like Travell Wharton would ultimately end up being the replacement as the O-line coach. But one thing I do notice, though, as far as roster-wise with the O-line, everybody that they've brought in and the majority of guys, holdovers from last season outside of maybe Leno and Rouye, all have quote-unquote position flex. We know Ron Love that they can all play multiple positions on the line. They can, Gates can play center and guard, Wiley can play guard and tackle, Cosby can play guard. Everybody can kind of move around and pick and pull. I think it's ultimately, getting in the mini camp and OTAs and training camp, I think they're literally want to just be able to pick the best 8 or 9 guys and that way they can rotate them. So if this guy gets hurt here, I can just take him, move pieces around and you're not really losing too much. So I do see a plan with it, but yeah, coaching wise, I think Wart's gonna be the dude at least for this season, and then next year we can reevaluate.
Yeah, and like right now, I don't think. I mean, it does matter. Like, let me not say it doesn't matter, but when you're talking about like scouting, like all that stuff is pretty much done, right? Like all the scouting, all that stuff is pretty much done. So whatever their board looks like when it comes to the O-line, that's not going to change. Rather, they keep Warden or they bring someone else in. But I think Bieniemy may want to bring someone that he wants in to kind of look over the to kind of be the O-line coach. I think that's what he wants to do because you go ahead, DT. Like,
no, I was just saying I don't have no problems with that. Look,
most definitely.
He's that offense.
I was just going to say that do y'all think it's coming to the thing that about that a little bit concerning is you want to go into the draft where ideally you want to go BPA. You want to go best player available. You don't want to have to go and draft for a particular position of need, and then you start reaching. So what makes me nervous is the farther, the more we talk about, DT talks about, and Breeze talks about position flex and these middle tier guys. It's almost like we got to go offensive tackle. It's like they're going to have to because we don't know. We don't have a solid answer. And it just I have a feeling that we kind of backing ourselves into a corner a little bit versus, now we gotta start in 5. We can't say that right now. So if you can't say you gotta start in 5, you kind of have to. You're gonna look for that 5th piece or that 4th piece, whatever it is. And that's kind of what I was thinking about, right? It's kind of all tied together.
To that point, though, and it kind of scares me a little bit now that you mention it. We may not have a starting 5, but we got 5 guys that can start. Which, you know what I mean? Like, it scares me. Like we don't have a starting offensive line, but we have more than enough offensive linemen that can start.
Right.
And to your point about necessarily needing a tackle, we all know Ron could care less what we all think as fans. That's been proven through history, right? Through his time here. I think we could very much see them go into the year with who we have, maybe one or two picks, at some point of draft, but not necessarily going to 16 or wherever they ultimately end up picking that, saying we need a player at this position because we know these guys are capable of being able to start. They may not be, top of the line starter, but they can start if need be. So we'll see what happens. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's going to be very interesting to see which way they go. But I think that's a good point. Like you got to have somebody in before OTAs, like, and ultimately you want to have somebody there for visits too. Like you want to bring these guys and you want to talk to them. But I think on both sides there's an argument that you need to have your guy in, and on the other side is like the work is kind of already done. He's just going to be there just to be there to ask some questions or whatever. But ultimately, I think EB wants to bring someone in, and being this late in the process, it may be difficult in order, especially if he wants to pull someone from Kansas City, because your boy probably, man, look, I mean, you all right and all, but look, man, you ain't gonna just be pulling people this late in the game. And we know in pulling people from college ranks, they about to get into spring ball. You know what I'm saying? So that's gonna be something to watch. That's gonna be something to watch. But if they had a plan, it would have been done by now. So that firing or the release, whatever they want to call it, is something that they didn't really plan for. They actually probably thought that it was going to work out, and ultimately it didn't. Joining the ranks, Ron Rivera told us that Sam Howell is QB1, but he's going to bring in veteran competition. They said they're going to bring in competition. We heard this from him, Mayhew. We also heard it from Eric Bieniemy. So far, they brought in Jacoby Brissett. And we know that and that's my little bit, is on the depth chart. I don't think he has a chance. But I do want to open with this before I go to CeeLo. In today's NFL, I just don't believe you can have a true quarterback competition. I just don't. The way the practices are handled, you can't put equipment on, I think, until August. In practices, the players is going maybe 30% full speed. It just doesn't seem like it. I mean, even in a preseason game, right? Is he going to have Terry McLaurin out there for 2 quarters, 3 quarters, just to work with both quarterbacks? I don't see that happening. The only way I think the competition can be something is if in the classroom, right? I think that's the only way. Is Sam grasping the playbook? Is he able to make the calls, the reads, and all those things? You really can't tell that until you're actually in live game, live game action. It's very imperative for them to bring in competition in the summer. A team that he can go to or come here to practice with before a preseason game. We know they're supposed to be Buffalo last year, but at the end of the season, Ron said because of the whole thing with JD happened, so all that kind of blew up, and it didn't happen. But yeah, I just don't see this competition being something real, and not just for this team, just in general across the league to have real cornerback competition with all of the different rules that they have in place now. How you feel about it, CeeLo?
I agree. I think in practice, not pardon the pun, but in practice, it doesn't make sense. You don't have enough time. You just don't have enough availability to truly with the live fire to truly assess a quarterback competition. What makes this crazy to me, fellas, man, is Ron is going into this season with a guy that he didn't even want to start in the last game of the season. And I can't stop. It's hard to forget that. Like, he literally was ready to trot back Taylor Heineke out there, who's not even on the team today. And he's went from that position to, actually ride it out with Sam Howell, and then calling the competition, bringing in Jacoby Brissett. And then on top of that, you have Sam learning a brand new offense, literally different nomenclature, different language. It's going to take some time. So how do you have a competition? The guy needs the work. He needs the reps. He needs the study. He needs to put the study into practice. And so if you have a true competition, you have Jacoby, who probably knows this a little bit already because of previous systems. And then you're going to have Sam coming in there. It's not even fair, to be honest. Now, Sam has the other stuff, right? He has the intangibles. He has a higher ceiling. But Jacoby has the smarts. He's going to have the experience. It's just natural. So no, I agree with you. It is a competition by title only. Sam is QB1. He will start week 1. Period. Now I do hope they have the inter squad scrimmages. I think that's helpful. I think that'd be fantastic because people get tired of playing each other. Defenses and offenses all day, every day. So I look forward to that. But I don't think it's a real competition.
So this is my thing, right? When we hear quarterback competitions and stuff, quarterback competitions in the NFL still do exist. However, do they be potentially fair? I can't say that because when you look at certain situations when it comes to quarterback competitions, it's usually a guy that's already in place that knows the system, and they bring in either a younger guy or other guy from the outside to compete, but then eventually they go with the guy who already has the knowledge, just for safety. Last year, for example, Geno Smith was going against Drew Lock. He was already in Seattle for a couple years. He got in the starts when Russell Wilson was out, and he looked good. And now you see the full season of Geno Smith in Seattle, and you like, wow, he actually can play. So this competition right here is going to be a little bit different. I think that Brissett, he's going to be the guy that's going to push Howell, but I also think that even if Sam and Brissett are like equal, you have to go with Howell because that shows you that he can compete with Brissett, a guy who's been in the league for 9 to 10 years in multiple systems, and then Howell caught on to a system like that, and he's only going to learn about at least realistically 30% of the offense this year because it's going to be so much that that they know that EB has to bring in, but he's going to have to dial it back because there's going to be a lot of guys new to this stuff. It's going to be like a West Coast spread, do some things that they see from Kansas City, but they're going to dial it back a little bit. But if Howell and Brissett are like even, I got to go with Sam Howell. And I think Sam Howell knows he has the ability to be QB1. These guys in college, like they have quarterback competitions all the time when they come into college. Like Sam, when he came to North Carolina, he won the quarterback battle his freshman year. He was the first freshman to start opening day at North Carolina. So this kid is not scared of no competition and things like that. I've just seen people on Twitter talk about Brissett. I just think Brissett is the perfect backup. He's the perfect guy that fits what EB wants to do, and he's a team player, and he can help mold Sam days in and days out, even off the field. I think the off the field thing is just as important as on the field for Sam. So I think it's going to be a real competition, but eventually I feel like Sam's talent and his ability to master this offense is going to be quarterback.
No, I mean, DT pretty much took every talking point that I had. But no, I mean, I agree. I think Jacoby Brissett, by design, is a guy that can help Sam develop in the classroom, on the field, you know, as an NFL player, and push him just enough, just give him just enough of a push, but not necessarily designed to beat him. And to DT's point, I agree 100%. If they're anywhere near close, remotely close, Sam Howell's the starting quarterback. Like for Jacoby Brissett to start week 1, barring injury, you know, knock on wood, Jacoby Brissett's going to have to blow Sam Howell out of the water, which if that happens, then we already kind of know where it's headed for 2024, which is, we'll get to that when we get there. But I also to Deuce's point, as a coach, I do kind of see it a different way, you know what I mean? Because I know how you can kind of have a legit competition without it being visible to the public. In practices, in meeting rooms, kind of tweaking the finesse in practice to kind of do certain things. But like I said, I don't think Jacoby Brissett was not brought here to start. If he starts, it'll be because he worked his butt off and beat Sam Howell badly in preseason and training camp and OTAs and all of that. But yeah, if they're anywhere remotely close, you know, Sam Howell is going to be your starting quarterback.
I think it goes into the season. I think Sam Howell's going to be the starter. I think they're going to give him like 6-7 games. If it's not looking like he's grasping the playbook, if he's not able to expand week over week, because Bieniemy doesn't seem like a guy that stays stagnant. Like he wants to build week by week. And if Sam Howell is not able to do that, if he's struggling, I don't know, man. We might see some. So
I want to pose a question to the group because y'all know I love starting stuff. Y'all know I love starting stuff on Twitter, and I haven't bought this on Twitter yet, but I've been thinking about it. So you know, it's been said, you know, going into this season, we should start Sam, see how he does, and if he doesn't perform, then we know we need to go get a quarterback next year. What is the bar for Sam being good enough to not move on versus warrant him starting another year or moving forward with him as a starting quarterback? Where is that bar set at? In
Okay.
y'all's opinion.
I think it's two answers to that. I think it's the reality, then it's the fan answer.
Yeah.
I think fans are even more. I think fans, Breeze. I think if he's not like the definitive starter by week 16, like this was a successful experiment. They're going to be ready to kick him off the team because fans think that this team is literally a quarterback away. They can't see one read. We have a superior offensive coordinator. We have these great offensive weapons. They think Sam ain't got to do that, but hand the ball off or throw it to the open receiver. There's not much more to it than that. I think certain fans convince themselves that ain't no reason this team can't be a 12, 13 win season. I seriously think fans believe that. Like it's going to click.
We all know.
Right. But the reality is, to your point, I say he needs to probably show to Deuce's earlier point, kind of continue to show that he can continue to build on the offense, can show that he's able to grasp the concepts. West Coast offense is very complicated. So if he's able to pick that up and still produce and then show progress, he's going to make mistakes, learn from those mistakes, move on, and continue to show that. I think that's great for essentially a rookie year and a new system. I think I would be as me, speak for myself, I would be ecstatic knowing that this guy was able to take in all of that and again, stay healthy. That's another thing. And be able to continue to produce. So I'm thinking, maybe 2-to-1, touchdown interception ratio, close to over 3,000 yards, essentially. I know in this offense he may get some yardage. So some people think he may get 500 yards rushing. I don't know. That it's hard to say. But continue to keep the turnovers low and show that you can score points. We were at the bottom of the league in scoring points. If you can get us to like somewhere between 15 and 18 or 13 and 18, that is a big success. You're literally doubling the output of the previous, offense. To me, that is, I'm good.
Whew, okay. This about okay. And it's crazy that you asked that question because I've been looking at past quarterbacks. The quarterbacks in the NFL, I've been looking at them like their rookie year. And I said, I think, in my opinion, Sam Howell's ceiling can be Russell Wilson the first couple years in Seattle with this defense, but his floor can be just an even worse Taylor Heineke because the playing experience. And the fan base love him and things like that, and I understand it. But at the end of the day, he's only had played one game. That's the smallest sample size you have seen. He played decent, but only 19 pass attempts. Really hard to judge him. But like CeeLo said, I think when you look at how this team has dealt with the bottom offense, and you see some of the traits that he's shown with his accuracy, the ability to put it in places where wide receivers can make yards at the catch, and this is what this offense is going to be. And you look at the years when Russell was on a rookie deal, and they had the Legion of Boom, they had Marshawn Lynch, they had these wide receivers. They were okay wide receivers, but he made plays with them. And you got Terry, Jahan, and Curtis. I mean, he can have those type of seasons like Russell Wilson, especially when you look at the thighs and stuff like that, and then try to get out of trouble. But if he doesn't reach that, I won't be mad because he has the talent, but it's so hard. It's so hard to get it because you never heard of a 5th round pick starting a season. Like, I'm not trying to be that.
Not on purpose, not a lot.
Right. Well, remember, Russell was not supposed to be the starter. Right. It was Matt Flynn
or Dak,
and he just won it.
I mean, or Tom Brady.
He was balling.
Or Dak or Tom Brady.
I just want people.
He wasn't drafted to be a starter.
Yeah, right. I just want people to temper their expectations because, like DT said, Sam has the talent, don't get me right. I know he has the talent, but I feel like a lot of people are going into this season based off of beating the Cowboys in Week 18. And which, I mean, he was decent, but he wasn't bad, but he wasn't amazing. He didn't set the world.
He was
on fire.
exactly.
You know what I mean? He did have a very bad interception, which all quarterbacks have at times. It happens. You know what I mean? But I want people to temper the expectations, and don't go into the season thinking that Sam Howell is about to be Patrick Mahomes. Like, if
Please
it happens,
stop. Please stop using Patrick Mahomes.
I'm just saying. I mean, you know what I mean?
No, not you, Breeze. I'm talking about people on Twitter. Look, did Patrick Mahomes do that? I'm like, yeah, like Patrick Mahomes, Andy Reid, Belichick. Like, we got to stop using those guys as comparisons.
Or what about Dak Prescott? His rookie year, 13 wins. 13 wins. He had over 3,000. He had an amazing rookie year.
Yeah.
Now, and I think sometimes, and I know we poo-poo Dak. We think Dak is, he's maybe not the guy, but that may have been one of the best rookie seasons I've ever seen. And it was unexpected because he was again, late round pick or late-ish round pick, right in the third round. Not expected to start, sit behind, Tony Romo for a year or two, and he was thrust in there because of injury. So I can see how some fans, they look at some of these examples and they're like, we can do that. Sam can do that. I'm like, it's not all the same. It's not all equal.
Yeah, I just think people are so starved to have a good.
Yeah.
I'm not even gonna say franchise quarterback. This has been so long since we had one of those. People here are so starved to have.
Have we ever had one of those? Ever?
Kirk Cousins.
He was only here for 3-4 years though. Like doing the math, like we talking about going back to what, the 80s, maybe?
Are you like a decade? Oh yeah.
No. I mean, in the history of our organization, have we ever had a franchise quarterback?
And so, and you talking about someone's been in a seat for like QB1 for like 8, 9, 10 years? Yeah, never.
Not really. No. That's what I'm saying. Like, it's bad. It's like the history of the quarterback position for this team. We've had good quarterbacks, decent. Obviously, we have 3 Super Bowls, like 5 football, NFL championships, what I'm saying? Like we've been successful, but it's been in spite of the quarterback position a lot of the time.
When you have a franchise quarterback, you don't have a guy like Kirk Cousins come in for 3 years and hold like 3 quarterback records. That by definition, we never had a franchise guy.
You know what I'm saying? Like if Sam turns out to be that dude, hey, we will all be ecstatic. But just let him. He gonna take his lumps at times. Like you know what I mean? Let him go through the process.
Yeah, and to that point, it's the reason why when Ron Rivera was asked that question in October, like what's holding the team back, he was being completely honest with us, man. It's been Dak Prescott has been starting ever since he got here outside of 2020, broke his ankle. Daniel Jones has been started
that year.
And Jalen Hurts now, he's about to get his money. And we have been going through quarterbacks long before even Ron Rivera got here, man. I mean,
it's true, man.
We're so starved for this position. And I know I'm starved for this position because I really want Sam to be the guy. It's just the numbers are just against him because of what round he is. But I know the talent because I've seen him on Saturdays. But now you're talking about a 5th round guy being thrust through duty of a franchise that haven't had consistency at the quarterback position. And you see these bad quarterbacks play from Heineke, Carson Wentz, and you just get sick. We up here fussing in the space. The next thing you know, you turn on CBS, you see Patrick Mahomes, Lamar Jackson, and Josh Allen do all these things. You're like, why can't we have this?
Why can't we have nice things?
It has to come around. We haven't never had a franchise. It has to be all the time, man. But on the other end is we're gonna talk about 3 college quarterbacks that can possibly come in if they decide to go day 2 early, day 3 to bring some real competition. But before we end and go to a break, CeeLo, you said something over the weekend about I think it was Kuiper who said he had a round 2 grade on Sam Howell this year, and you compared it to last year. What was that take?
Well, I was basically saying, how did Sam Howell be the 5th round quarterback, and last year with the quarterback class that was straight bleep
Garbage.
horrible, but this year with a 10 times better quarterback class, he's a 2nd round pick. How that happen, Mel? How that work, man?
You ought to go check out You Grow Girl. That's Grow, GROW, written by a dear friend of mine, Jay Smith. It's for daily affirmations for Black women. It is filled with beautiful, colorful images of Black women and powerful affirmations. You can find it at Amazon at Amazon.com.
Welcome back to OTA Podcast.
All right. How you feel about Aiden O'Connell, Breeze?
I don't trust him, man. I don't trust him.
Why you?
Mustache, and if he ends up being a quarterback with a 301 or 202 area code, I wouldn't be too happy about it. He's gonna have to do something about it. I don't know. I don't know.
Our first quarterback we're gonna talk about is Aiden O'Connell. 63.4 completion percentage, over 3,000 yards, 6.9 yards per attempt, 22 touchdowns, 11 interceptions. DT profile Aiden O'Connell for us.
Yeah, so Aiden O'Connell, this guy, he was a former walk-on at Purdue. He was competing with Jake Plummer at the time. This guy, he has prototypical size, 6'3", 211. I think he would fit definitely what EB wants to do, getting the ball out in the hands, quick passing game, slants, hitches, out routes, things like that. Sometimes you want a cerebral quarterback on your team. You don't always want to have the mobile guys all the time. Sometimes it's okay to have a pocket passer. I think he kind of fits the mold of a Chad Henning, if I was to say. Now, he doesn't have the elite traits, like Josh Allen, guys like that. He's kind of very limited, but he kind of fits the backup role. Had a lot of production. He made this draft pick, Charlie Jones, I believe his name is. He transferred from Iowa, and Iowa's offense is pretty bad, but he made him 100-catch, 1,500-yard receiver at Purdue. And I think when you look at an offense like this, he fits everything that, EB wants to do. So I wouldn't say he's like a day 2 guy, probably like a day 3 for real. But, I like Aiden O'Connell. I think he'll make sense for us to add in competition.
So my guy is Hinden Hooker, and Hinden Hooker for us he's different in the sense that, the draft has, the top 4 guys, Stroud, Young, Levis, Richardson, in whatever order you want to put them in. The 5th guy in that equation is typically, by most quote unquote experts, is Hinden Hooker, but he's coming off the ACL injury or whatever. The thing about him, I don't see us going quarterback that early, but with his ACL injury, he will probably slide a little bit. But if you look at him, some of the benefits that he would have, coming here is he's an older guy, number one. So he's not a super young guy that, inexperienced, a guy with 1 to 2 years. Like, he played at Virginia Tech. He was a grad transfer to Tennessee. He's a bigger quarterback, 6'4", almost 220, I think 217, 218 on most websites, but pushing 220. The thing I love about Hinden Hooker is he only threw 2 interceptions last year, if I'm not mistaken. I mean, he's a super accurate quarterback in a fairly pass-heavy offense. The thing about it is he played in a mostly vertical spread offense. So doesn't necessarily equate to what we believe the offense will be here, but I think he does have a lot of the intangibles to still kind of fit in the West Coast offense. Has a strong arm, has a pretty quick release. He's accurate, as we all know, 32 touchdowns. Well, I had 32. I think the ticket says 27, but 2 interceptions. And he was mobile. I don't know how the ACL injury may affect that. And he's not like a super fast, Lamar Jackson type quarterback. I'm sorry him no more, but he was at least a mobile quarterback prior to his injury, and I don't think that'll, the reports have said he'll be available to practice, in training camp, OTAs. He'll be available fairly soon. to practice. So I don't think his mobility will be affected once he gets comfortable again. I think he's probably best suited for a team that, doesn't have an immediate need at quarterback, which technically we don't have, and a team that kind of needs a cheaper, experienced backup, which he would be on a rookie quarterback on a rookie contract at 25 years old. Thing about him is his pro comparison on several sites that I saw was Geno Smith. So which Geno Smith are we talking about is what concerns me. You know what I mean? Like you say
pre-jaw Geno Smith or post-jaw Geno Smith?
You see what I'm saying? If you make this statement a year or two ago, it's not anywhere remotely as good as it sounds coming off of 2022. You know what I mean? But all in all, I think Hinden Hooker is a good quarterback. I would love to have him here, maybe not as high as the second round, but if we can snag him, if he slides to the fourth, I might be willing to take that flyer on him. You know what I mean? But good quarterback, super accurate. So, definitely be a help here if he comes here and needs to play. You know what I mean?
I think it's very interesting about Hinden Hooker. His team came out and said that he'll be ready for week 1, opening day. And you saying that is making me believe that he's going to be able to be available during training camp. I think that changes. Like, I think that changes a lot, man. Like, yeah. I mean, I've been saying this even before we got that news because of his injury. But the way the medicine works now, I could see a team trying to get back in the bottom of the first to get that 5th year on him. If they really want to sit him next year, I think Hinden Hooker is going to be a player to watch during this combine because I think he's one of those people that can go from round 4, like you said, from round 1 to round 4. I don't think he makes it that far. I don't. And I don't know what his pro day is going to look like. I don't think he's going to be out there doing anything. But I think sooner or later we're going to be seeing some type of videos with him doing some passes and running around.
But see, here's the interesting thing about him is that, like I said, I think as of right now, he's best suited for a team that kind of has a starter solidified, doesn't have an immediate quarterback. But here's the thing, though: if you draft him on a team that already has a solidified starter, in theory, you're probably not letting that starter go no time soon. He's already 25 years old. So how long? Even like if you draft him at 25 years old with a 5th-year option, you're talking about maybe his late 20s before he's on the field. You know what I mean? So it's kind of give and take with that situation. But I don't
even a quarterback you mentioned, like Seattle, I think that'll be a perfect team for him. They have Geno there. His deal is essentially a 2-year deal. If you really look at the contract, you bring in Hooker, give him a year to sit, maybe another year, and then kind of go from there.
Do they got 2 first-round picks or 1?
They got 1. I think the Eagles and the Lions. Eagles, Lions. Is it another team that got 2 first-round picks this year?
I have to look it up.
I know the Eagles and the Lions have 2 first-round picks.
I would think Seattle does, right? Because of the trade.
Yep, you might be right for Russ.
Seattle has the 5th pick and the 20th pick.
Yeah, like, yeah, man.
That's intriguing.
Yeah, yeah, man. I don't know. They may. I think they'll be quiet about it. But yeah, CeeLo. So Tanner McKee, Stanford. Stanford put out them generational quarterbacks, man.
Yeah, I don't know if he's gonna make that list, but now Tanner McKee's an interesting prospect. Prototypical quarterback, 6'6", 230, big strong dude, smart guy. A lot of awards and academic awards in the last couple of years of his academic career. Pac-10. So his stats doesn't pop out to you. Just under 3,000 yards last year. And so, but he had about 62% completion percentage. I think a team that makes sense for him is going to be a team that obviously is looking for a day 1 starter, but someone he can kind of sit back and learn from, because I think one of the areas that he needs to work on, he's kind of stiff. right now. Like in other words, he's a quarterback that doesn't have much touch on all the levels of the field. He's gonna like throw darts 5 yards away from you, or going to throw a darts 50 yards. I mean, he's very very mechanical right now. So he has to work on that layering of the football and add some touch to his game. So he's going to take a couple years, and by that definition, best case, late second round pick, worst case, somewhere in day 3, maybe a third or fourth rounder. I think scouts and coaches love these 6'6", big dudes that can stand tall in the pocket and can take the hits and be able to deliver the football while doing so. And I think that those guys tend to always get a second and third look. So he had a decent 3-year career at Stanford. I saw a bunch of different comps. I even saw a comp from his predecessor, Davis Mills. I actually saw a really good comp from comparing him to Dwayne Haskins even. So it's interesting that when you read a little bit about him, I just think I would say if I had my had to put money on it, I could see him going somewhere like Detroit. Maybe go sit behind their quarterback, for a couple of years, Jared Goff, and kind of see what happens there. Low risk, high reward kind of deal.
If they don't trade for Lamar.
That's
what Steve Harry said. They need DT. Say, hey man, we got the picks.
Hey, look, I'm just gonna say it like this: our quarterback coach, he was at Stanford.
Yeah,
so,
man. Yeah,
yeah. Well, I tell you, if they don't pick him, then you know what that means. Because that's a good point though. He did come from Stanford.
It could work both ways. He'd be like, "Nah, BM, you don't
want that."
You don't want that work. Well, there you have it. DT, CeeLo, Breeze, and Deuce. We thank you all out there for listening. We thank you for watching, for you using this time to spend it with us. Remember, do it because you love it, not because it loves you. One beat, one sound, one heart, one love.